Hi there viewers, I'm Nico GTR and welcome to Assetto Corsa Competizione. Today we're at Monza for round 2 of the BOA Championship Test Series. The end of this race will mark the halfway point in the test, with the official season commencing mid-September. If you'd like to join, we race on Xbox, and you can find us on Facebook where all our events and other cool stuff is posted. Link is down in the description. So as you can see from the qualifying results, we're starting on pole position. Very pleased with that. If we can get a good start, we should hopefully avoid any chaos into turn 1 at the chicane. It's a 1-hour race, but as with round 1, I've cut out the quiet bits, leaving all the action. I've included a track guide towards the end of the race too, so stick around for that. If you enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to catch future content. Quick check of the fuel and setup then, and let's jump into the car.
Stay double file.
As always, you want to try and generate a bit of heat into the brakes and tyres. This will help going into the first lap. Just wait for the green lights.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Right, here we go then. My start's okay, but that Lambo's quick in a straight line. He's going to have the inside for turn 1. If we can get alongside, I should be able to stick with him and get the inside for the second part of the chicane.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Matty behind us late on the brakes and challenges me through the chicane. He gets alongside and a better exit and we drop to P3. Not ideal, but no race ending chaos, so I'll get to work on making these places back. Round the Curva Grande then, and to the second chicane. The Bentley's power unit has a bit of grunt, so we should be able to keep within. Not close enough to make a move, so I tuck in to take the race in line. Nice and tidy through there and up towards Lesmo 1. I'm still within a second, so a good toe should present an opportunity for us going into Ascari. Around Lesmo 2 and into that slipstream. The toe can be a powerful tool to help overtaking, so be sure to tuck in behind the car in front where possible. The toe helps us pull back a 10th, but not close enough for an overtake on this occasion. Through Ascari and be careful of the curbs. And into that slipstream again as we head down to the Parabolica. I need to get a move done on Matty as soon as possible so that Andrews doesn't get away. Into the Parabolica then, and a good exit should help on the start-finish straight. Really got to get this overtake done. Cross the line and onto lap 2. Again, getting into that slipstream. I'm gaining. Get alongside. And then just a little later on the brakes. Let off a little to get further ahead and we get it done. Up into P2. Now time to chase down the leader. Okay, we've advanced in the race, just over 51 minutes to go. The gap to Andrews ahead is 4.5 seconds and we're approaching traffic. Into Ascari and the Lambo ahead is chucked offline by the curbs, causing the McLaren to take evasive action, opening the door for me to get through nicely. But wait a sec, it's the leader, what's happened? I'm not going to hang around to find out though, that's P1. Okay, so we've got the lead, need to build that gap now. Right, just under 47 minutes left to go and we spot Andrews leaving the pit. He incurred heavy damage so had to make an early stop, which will really hurt his race time, as today there is a pit window. The 10-minute window will open after 25 minutes in the race, so even though Andrews has stopped already, to complete his mandatory pit stop he'll have to go in again during the pit window. Ouch. That's Galera ahead in the Lexus. I'm coming up to lap him, so he should give way and let me through. How nice is he feeling though? Towards the second chicane then, and he's still far enough ahead that I wouldn't expect him to yield just yet. Nice and tidy through there and up to Lesmo 1. You can see Mr. Marshall waving the blue flag on the left there. Gulaire gets out of line into Lesmo 2, running wide and onto the gravel. I veer right to avoid his rejoining, and I was not expecting this. And the Lambo storms through. I guess he's got ground to make up, so caution's gone right out the window. We've skipped ahead in the race, 41.5 minutes to go, and Andrews is ahead. He's been shown the blue flags, but he's a quick guy I'm happy to stick behind and save fuel. The car further ahead is a new guy to our league. Not sure if he was a little happy on the throttle or just really wanted to get out of the way, but he makes contact with the barrier, allowing us through. 27 minutes gone now, and the pit window has been open for a lap or so. It's now time to think about making our pit stop, so I bring up the MFD and check the strategy. I'm doing okay for fuel, so reduce the amount to put in the car during our stop. Remember to pay attention as we make our way through Parabolica, final adjustment to the fuel and back to it. Across the line and onto the next lap. We still have a large gap back to P2, so I'm not too worried about when to pit as long as I get it done in the window. If not, disqualification. So don't miss those pit windows, ladies and gents. Hard on the brakes for turn 1. Turn in, hit the apexes, and on the throttle. That little judder there as I accelerated was the traction control kicking in, reducing power because there's too much wheel spin. 30 minutes to go in the race, now seems like the time to pit. It's a short pit entry here, so be careful to get the car slowed in time for the pit line and ensure the car's in first gear to allow your limiter to be switched on.
You're halfway through, keep pushing.
I started with enough fuel for about 2/3 of the race, just to ensure I made it to the window, and we're topping up to get us to the end, and also changing those tyres as this is a requirement to complete the mandatory stop. You may have noticed that I did overshoot the pit box a little, so needed to reverse the car back. Your crew will not begin unless you're in your pit box. Okay, so mandatory pit stop complete. We'll rejoin the race in P2. The leader hasn't pitted yet, so as long as we avoid any incidents, we should retake the lead when he makes his stop. There's quite a gap to the car ahead. I should be able to get a couple of good laps in too. Just under 27 minutes to go and the leader has pitted. I've retaken the lead of the race, but there's a lot of traffic ahead. As I said before, we have a few new guys racing today, so lapping may prove trickier than normal. We've just advanced in this lap a little and we're following a fellow Bentley through Lesmo 2. Getting into that slipstream for the toe. And the Bentley ahead eases off the throttle, allowing me to pass.
Clear on the left.
Onto the brakes and into Ascari. 25 minutes to go and the pit window has just closed. Those that have not pitted, if any, will be disqualified. There's still plenty of traffic ahead. 24 minutes remaining now as we continue to lead the race. The Aston ahead gets a little twitchy, swiftly making its way into the gravel. I don't have Jedi powers, honest. Just over 20 minutes left in the race now as we make our way through the second chicane and towards Lesmo 1. There's a rookie ahead of me, so I slow down and wait for a safe opportunity to get by. I don't recommend doing it in a corner, but that's where he's chosen, so I nip through.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
"14 minutes left now and we have a dominant lead over the cars behind. I can't actually see P2 on the relative, so can't confirm the gap. Another driver new to the league ahead of us now and goes a bit hot into turn 1, losing the rear. I get through okay and continue on to Curva Grande. We're coming up to the final 10 minutes of the race as I make my way round the Parabolica and onto the start-finish straight. There's traffic ahead, so an air of caution is required to get through cleanly. The Aston Martin spots me early and pulls over. A really nice guy is Binky, always a pleasure to race with. Hard on the brakes for turn 1 then, and just a reminder that I'll be doing a track guide later on in the race for all of my brake markers and positioning through turns. A little further into the lap and I'm advancing on the McLaren ahead, through Ascari, and the Italian Marshall team is quick to show the blue flags. Hard on the brakes as we close up to the car ahead, and pulls to the left, giving us the exit, allowing me to continue on toward the Curva Grande.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
He's still behind me though, and I do wonder just for a second whether he's going to try and retake me into the second chicane, but he lets off. And from the looks of it in the rearview mirror, a little excursion into the gravel. Uh-oh. Last 5 minutes in the race then, and Andrews sends it up our inside. I do spot him in the rearview mirror, so just wait a moment before turning in. He manages to make the corner with a bit of curb and continues on. It's not for position, so all good with me. Around the Curva Grande then, someone kicking up dust in front. And hard on the brakes for the second chicane. Ahead of Andrews is another back marker. He shoots through on the inside. The Aston looked a little surprised, swerving to the left, but no contacts are happy days. I get alongside and he applies the brakes. Thumbs up to that guy. Round the second Lesmo and towards Ascari. Right then, ladies and gents, 1 minute left on the clock. Around the final turn to begin our final lap of the race, and as promised, my track guide for a competitive lap of Monza. Make sure to get a good exit out of the Parabolica for maximum speed down the start-finish straight. Move across to the left to position yourself for turn 1, the first chicane. You need to brake as late as possible without overshooting it to get good gains on the lap. I use the 150 board as my brake marker, braking just before it and shift down through the gears to first. If you're too quick shifting into the lower gears, the car may prevent the gear change to protect the engine from over-revving, so practice to get used to the rev range in which the car will allow. Hit both apexes, avoiding the big orange sausage curbs, they will launch the car. Use all the track on the exit and get on the throttle as early as you can, but ease it on to avoid wheel spin and the traction control cutting the power. Round the Curva Grande then, and keep it tight to shorten the turn. Position the car to the right for the entry into the chicane. And my brake marker for this one is the 150 board again, but this time braking right on it. Shift down to second and hit both apexes. Curb on the first is a bit more forgiving, but I avoid just to be safe. Don't cut the second though. Use all the track on the exit, avoiding the gravel. For Lesmo 1, keep left and the brake marker is the greyish tree after the 100 board. The tree you're looking for is this one. It stands out from the rest with its silver tree trunk and is positioned just before the shadows on track, but the shadows can be unreliable, especially in night races. so use the tree if you can. Shift down into third and tuck into the apex. Patient on the throttle as it's easy to run wide here. Use all the track on the exit. You can run further over the curb onto the Astro, but don't be too greedy. Up to 4th gear and onto Lesmo 2. Brake marker here is the 50 board and I brake just before it, about halfway between the 100 and the 50 board actually, and shift down into 3rd gear. Hit the apex, not too much as it unsettles the car though, and use all the track on the exit. Again, there is AstroTurf over the curb, so you can extend the track on exit just that little bit more. Watch out for the gravel though. Keep left to the curve that we've just passed, then move across to the right for a Scari. Brake marker for this one is the structure across the track. I presume it is an advertising board facing the grandstands ahead. Start braking as you pass underneath. Shift down into 3rd gear and cut the apex slightly. Run tight to the right side curb but do not cut. You can short shift up a gear here. This will steady the rear of the car, but you may lose a little time. Hit the apex left, don't cut too much. Use all the track on the exit, extending over the curb onto the Astro. Be sure to keep 2 wheels inside the white line when doing this to avoid a warning for track limits. This applies to all corners where running over the curbs. Okay, parabolica then. You want the car positioned to the left and the brake marker for this one, the 2 white frameworks above the track. Begin braking as you pass underneath. Shift down to 3rd gear and tuck into the apex. Get back on the throttle as early as the rear of the car will allow. It's easy to overdo it, so be careful. Again, you can short shift up to 4th to keep the rear in check, but as before this may cost a little time. Run out wide on the exit. Across the finish line, and that's my guide to a lap of Monza, and actually my fastest lap in today's race. And with that, the race wins. Happy days. So P1 ladies and gents, and consecutive podiums in this test series. A fairly straightforward drive in the end. Once I'd taken the lead, it was about maintaining the gap behind and keeping out of trouble. Quite often lapping cars can prove to be tricky manoeuvres, so patience and communication with other drivers is key. No incidents for us today though, so really pleased about that and really good fun. It's a very enjoyable track to drive when it's a smooth run. Do you guys enjoy racing at Monza? It's often avoided because of Turn 1 incidents, but I think league racing here can be really good. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Next race for me in the BOA test series will be at Misano. I've not much experience at that track, so it will definitely be an interesting one. Subscribe to the channel to catch that race and hit that like button if you've enjoyed today's video. Until next time, thanks everybody.